Welcome to Saga Summaries. Today we will recap the 7 slasher thriller Scream movies. So sit back and relax. Please click the subscribe button to support the channel. Let's go! In a quiet town where nothing ever happens, something is about to change forever. It starts with a phone call. A simple voice on the other end, calm, playful, but wrong. One question turns into a game. One game turns into terror. And before the night is over, the rules of horror will be rewritten in blood. Woodsboro was supposed to be safe. But now, a masked killer known as Ghostface is stalking its streets, hunting teenagers, turning their worst fears into reality. No one knows who's behind the mask. No one knows who's next. At the center of it all is Sydney Prescott, a high school student already haunted by her past. 1 year after her mother's mysterious death, Sydney is trying to move on. But when the calls begin, when the killings start, she realizes this nightmare is only just beginning. Friends become suspects. Secrets come to light. Trust becomes a dangerous risk. There's Randy Meeks, the horror expert who knows all the rules. Never say, "I'll be right back." Never investigate strange noises, and never, ever assume you're safe. But in this game, knowing the rules might not be enough to survive. And then there's Gale Weathers, a relentless reporter chasing the story. Because in a town full of fear, the truth might be more shocking than the murders themselves. As the body count rises, one thing becomes clear. The killer isn't just watching them. The killer knows them. Every scream echoes closer. Every clue leads deeper into a deadly mystery. And as the night unfolds, Sydney must face a terrifying question. What if the danger isn't outside, but already inside? From visionary director Wes Craven comes a chilling, self-aware thriller that will keep you guessing until the final moment. Because in this town, everyone's a suspect. And in the end, there's only one question left. Do you like scary movies? 2 years ago, the terror began. A masked killer turned a quiet town into a nightmare and left behind scars that would never fully heal. Now, the story isn't over. Sydney Prescott tried to move on. New town, new life. College was supposed to be her escape. A place to forget the past and start again. But no matter how far she runs, the fear follows, because the nightmare has returned. It begins once again with a phone call, a familiar voice, a deadly game, and then the killings start. This time it's bigger, bolder, more brutal. A new Ghostface emerges, copying the original murders, recreating the terror, and turning history into a twisted sequel no one asked for. At the center of it all is Sydney Prescott, now older, stronger, but still haunted. She knows the rules. She survived once. But surviving a sequel, that's a different story. Because in a sequel, the body count is always higher. The deaths are more creative. And the danger is closer than ever before. Returning to the chaos is Gale Weathers, the reporter who turned tragedy into headlines. This time, she's chasing more than just a story. She's chasing the truth behind a killer who's turning fiction into reality. And then there's Randy Meeks, once again laying out the rules because horror movies have changed, and so have the stakes. But something feels different. This killer isn't just copying the past. They're building on it. As the campus falls into panic, trust begins to crumble. Friends become suspects. Lovers hide secrets. Every smile could be a lie, and every shadow could be the mask. Sydney finds herself trapped in a deadly game where the lines between reality and fiction blur. Movies are being made about her life. Strangers know her story. And somewhere in the crowd, someone is watching her every move. Waiting, planning, getting closer. Because this time, it's not just about fear. It's about revenge. The past refuses to stay buried. And as the truth begins to surface, Sydney must face a chilling realization. This isn't random. This isn't coincidence. This is personal. From legendary director Wes Craven comes the next chapter in the groundbreaking horror saga, where the rules are rewritten, expectations are shattered, and survival is never guaranteed. A new killer, a new game, a new level of terror. Because in this sequel, you thought you knew the story, You thought you knew the rules. But the only thing more dangerous than the first nightmare is the one that comes after it. The nightmare was supposed to be over, the story finished, the past buried. But in Hollywood, nothing stays dead for long. Years after surviving unimaginable terror, Sidney Prescott has disappeared from the world. Living in isolation, far away from the spotlight, she's built a quiet life. Hidden, guarded, and alone. No cameras, no crowds, no more fear, or so she thought. Because somewhere far away, a new game is beginning. On the set of a movie based on the Woodsboro murder, Stab 3 fiction starts to bleed into reality. Actors are playing victims. Scenes recreate past horrors. But when the cast begins to die, one by one, it becomes clear this isn't a movie anymore. Ghostface is back. And this time, the script has already been written. The killer isn't just following rules. They're rewriting them. Drawn back into the chaos is Gale Weathers, once again chasing a story that refuses to end. Alongside her is former Deputy Dewey Riley, now working as a consultant on the film set, trying to keep things under control as everything spirals into deadly confusion. But control is an illusion, because the killer has something new, something no one saw coming, a script, a plan that predicts every move, every scream, every decision. And as the bodies fall, the past begins to resurface in ways no one expected. Secrets long hidden start to unravel. The truth behind Sidney's mother, the origin of the nightmare. Everything connects in ways more twisted than ever before. And at the center of it all is Sidney, pulled out of hiding. She's forced to face the one thing she's been running from. Not just the killer, but the truth. Because this time, it's not about survival. It's not about fame. It's not even about revenge. It's about something deeper, something personal. As the line between movie and reality disappears, everyone becomes part of the story. Actors, survivors, witnesses. No one is safe when the ending has already been decided. But in a world where scripts control everything, what happens when someone refuses to follow it? From master of horror Wes Craven comes the final chapter of the original trilogy. A chilling, unpredictable ride where the truth is more dangerous than fiction. The past returns. The secrets unfold. The final act begins. Because every story has an ending, and this one was written in blood. 10 years ago, the story ended. The survivors moved on. The world forgot. But some stories refuse to stay buried. Woodsboro is quiet again, peaceful, almost normal, the kind of place where tragedy feels like a distant memory. But beneath the surface, something is waiting, because Ghostface is back. And this time, it's not about the past. It's about the future. Sidney Prescott returns home, no longer a victim, but a survivor, stronger, wiser. She's turned her pain into a message of hope, traveling the country to share her story. But coming back to Woodsboro means facing old memories and opening doors that should have stayed closed. First, it feels like coincidence. A few strange events, a sense of being watched. Then the phone rings, a voice she hoped she'd never hear again. And suddenly, the nightmare begins all over again. A new generation is being targeted. Teenagers who grew up hearing the legend, now living it. Social media spreads fear faster than ever. Cameras are everywhere, and in a world obsessed with attention, terror becomes entertainment. Returning alongside Sidney are familiar faces. Gale Weathers and Dewey Riley, older, changed, but not free from the past. Together, they try to make sense of a killing spree that feels both familiar and completely different. Because this killer doesn't just want revenge. This killer wants recognition. In a world of remakes, reboots, and viral fame, the rules have changed. The victims aren't just targets. They're part of a performance. And the audience is everyone watching. As the body count rises, Sidney begins to realize something terrifying. This isn't just another copycat. This is something new, something smarter, something closer. Friends turn into suspects. Family ties begin to crack. And as secrets are exposed, the line between hero and victim starts to blur. Because in this new generation, anyone can be the star, anyone can wear the mask, and anyone can become the next legend. From visionary director Wes Craven comes a bold new chapter in the iconic horror saga, where the past collides with the present, and survival means understanding a whole new set of rules. A new decade, a new game, a new ghost face. Because in Woodsboro, it doesn't matter how many years have passed. The moment you think it's over, that's when the real horror begins. 25 years ago, a masked killer changed everything. A small town became the center of horror, and a legacy of fear was born. Now, the past is calling again. Woodsboro has tried to move on. New faces, new lives, a new generation that grew up hearing the stories, but never truly believed them. To them, Ghostface is just a legend, something from old headlines and scary movies. But legends don't die. They evolve. Starts, as always, with a phone call. A voice in the dark. Calm. Familiar. Deadly. And then, the killings begin again. This time, the target is a new generation. Young, connected, and completely unprepared for what's coming. At the center is Sam Carpenter, a young woman forced to return to Woodsboro after her sister is attacked. She thought she left her past behind, but the truth is far more complicated and far more dangerous than she ever imagined. Because this isn't random, this is connected. As fear spreads through the town, the survivors of the original nightmare are pulled back into the chaos. Sidney Prescott returns, stronger, sharper, and ready to end it once and for all. Alongside her is Gale Weathers, still chasing the truth, even when it leads straight into danger. They've seen this before. They know the patterns. But this time, something feels different. Because the killer isn't just following events. They're obsessed with it. In a world of reboots, requels, and fan expectations, the rules have changed again. The murders are more calculated. The connections run deeper. And the motive, it's rooted in something far more personal than anyone expected. Everyone is a suspect. Everyone has a secret. And as the body count rises, the truth begins to surface, linking the present to a past that refuses to stay buried. For Sam Carpenter, the nightmare becomes something even worse, because the closer she gets to the truth, the more she realizes it's not just about surviving, it's about facing who she really is. As Ghostface closes in, the final act becomes a brutal test of loyalty, identity, and legacy. Old rules collide with new ones. Survivors become targets again. And the line between hero and villain begins to blur. Because in this new chapter, the past isn't just haunting them, it's shaping them. From the world of the original classic comes a chilling continuation of the story that redefined horror, where every detail matters, every connection counts, and every decision could be your last. A new generation rises, a legacy returns, a killer is reborn. Because in Woodsboro, the story never really ends. It just finds new victims. They thought they escaped. They thought the nightmare was over. They were wrong. After the latest wave of terror in Woodsboro, the survivors leave everything behind. New city, new life, a chance to finally breathe. New York City, loud, crowded, alive. The last place a killer could hide, or the perfect place to disappear. Because Ghostface has followed them. And this time, it's different. No small town, no quiet streets, no safe corners. In a city of millions, no one hears you scream. At the center are the survivors, led by Sam Carpenter, still carrying the weight of everything she's endured. Strong but shaken, determined but questioning who she's becoming. Because surviving the past didn't just change her, it awakened something inside her. Beside her is her sister and the friends who made it out alive. But survival comes with a cost. Trust is fragile, fear is constant, and the feeling of being watched never goes away. Then the phone rings, a voice they know too well. But this Ghostface isn't playing the same game. This one is smarter, faster, more relentless. No warnings, no patterns, no mercy. The attacks are bolder, striking in crowded places in broad daylight, turning the city itself into a hunting ground. Subways, alleys, apartments. Nowhere is safe when the killer can be anyone and anywhere. And as the body count rises, one thing becomes clear. This isn't about random victims. This is targeted, personal, a hunt driven by something deeper than revenge. As the survivors dig for answers, the past begins to resurface once again. But not in the way they expect. Old stories twist into new truths. Familiar patterns break apart. And the rules? There are no rules anymore. Even the legacy survivors are forced to confront a terrifying reality. This Ghostface isn't interested in tradition. They want to destroy it, to tear apart everything that came before, and rebuild the story in their own image. For Sam Carpenter, the line between hero and villain grows thinner with every moment. Because to stop a killer like this, she may have to embrace the darkness she's been fighting all along. As the final act unfolds, the truth reveals itself in shocking ways. Connections that no one saw coming, motives that cut deeper than ever before, and a confrontation that will change everything. Because in this city, survival isn't enough. You have to fight back. From the world of one of the most iconic horror franchises comes its most intense chapter yet. A brutal, relentless ride where fear is everywhere, and escape is impossible. A new city, a new Ghostface, a new level of terror. Because no matter where you run, no matter how far you go, the past will find you. It was never just a story. It was never just a mask. It was a legacy. And now, it returns one last time. After everything, the killings, the survivors, the endless cycle of fear, people believed the nightmare had finally reached its end. The past had been faced, the killers unmasked, the story complete. But some legends refuse to die. They wait, they watch, and when the world feels safe again, they strike. This time, the silence is different. No warning, no pattern, no clear beginning. Just a growing sense that something is wrong, something unseen, moving in the shadows. Because Ghostface isn't just back. Ghostface has changed. The rules that once defined survival are gone, torn apart, forgotten. In their place is something far more dangerous, unpredictable, patient, and personal. At the center of the storm is Sidney Prescott, drawn back once more into a nightmare she can never truly escape. Older, stronger, but carrying the weight of every loss, every fight, every moment she thought would be her last. She's faced Ghostface before, but never like this, because this time, it's not about fame, it's not about revenge, it's not about continuing the story, it's about ending it, completely. As a new wave of terror begins, the past and present collide in ways no one expects. Survivors are forced out of hiding. New faces are pulled into the chaos. Reveal a truth more chilling than any before. Every clue leads backward. Every answer uncovers something deeper. Because this isn't random. This is planned. A design years in the making. A final act that has been waiting for the perfect moment to begin. Trust is shattered. Alliances crumble. And as the circle tightens, one question rises above all others. What if this was never about a single killer? What if the real horror was something much bigger? Something that's been there from the very beginning, hiding in plain sight. As the tension builds, the line between hunter and hunted disappears. No one is safe, not even the ones who survived it all. Because in this final chapter, survival isn't guaranteed. Not for anyone. And when the mask finally comes off, the truth won't just shock you. It will change everything you thought you knew. From the legacy of one of the most iconic horror franchises comes its most intense and emotional chapter. A story about fear, survival, and the cost of never escaping the past. The beginning was just the start. The sequels raised the stakes. But this is the end game. Because every story has a final chapter. And every scream has to end.